Here we go. We're getting ready to go into game number 5. Honestly, what a banger series we've had. The first 3 games, little bit here at give and take, but that last game, that game 4, was such a back and forth game. Absolutely killer one.
And we are straight into draft. Heretics are back on blue. Remember, they were the team that broke the streak of blue side wins. They won a game's side choice earlier in the series, which means for the deciding game, they got to go back to what we assume has been the strongest side. We have to now ask questions of Team GO. What are these second and third bans going to be? Are we going to see Vi taken away? Are we going to see Jace taken away? Are we going to see Jinx taken away?
Surely Jinx can't make it to game 5.
On Jonks.
Not after the series that we've had today. I think it would be nothing short of a bit of a draft travesty from either side, to be honest with you, but obviously specifically for Team GO being on the red side.
I was about to say, don't forget the Jace.
There's the Jace.
Oh, Joyce, sorry. Don't forget the Joyce. You got up on the Joyce.
I think if you ban Zeri here as Heretics, then you could maybe force them to have banned Jinx, and then you can pick the Annie up, but they just want to go towards the Annie instead.
There's Vi, there's Maokai, there's Jinx. There are so many priority picks here. I mean, it really is pick of the litter at this point. We've also seen the cannon be banned away in previous games in the series. This time with Team GO on the red side, maybe they can hold themselves up for a top lane counter pick. On numerous different options, really.
Yeah, surely. Okay, there's Jinx.
Oh,
so
they've gone Jonks.
Now, what this actually creates is, do you want Zeri? Do you want Vi? Wukong is also up. Maokai is also up, and Heretics have prioritized that a lot. So would they just first pick that, actually, over the AD carries? I feel like you're also probably okay giving Flakked a Phelios. So you take up the Vi, you don't mind the Wukong going over. This way, either way, I think you're happy on the AD carry department.
Yeah, so now, yeah, as you're saying, kind of the Vi locked in means that the Zeri is much harder to play around this time because the Vi can always find their way onto it. And what Heretics' answer to the Vi in the game where they beat the Vi was they locked in Jinx, then the Tahm Kench, and the Maokai. It meant that you had struggles getting towards that AD carry, and you had the Maokai ult buying space. You don't have that option currently on the table of the Jinx for the hyper outrange, but maybe the Zeri can do the same thing. I
was going to say you also have that at Phelios if they just want to go for that. They decide actually they don't want to give Vi and Zeri over, so they'd rather take the rougher side of it and at least get the Zeri for themselves. Question for me is, what are they going to look to pick up? I really feel like the Maokai is a good pickup here for Linksys. Yes, it's typically been Blue Resort on that side of the matchup, but we saw how it worked for them so effectively.
I think he's just going to go Wukong though. I think, oh, okay, all right. Different approach. So Xin's out. A little heavier on the early game skirmishing. Can't quite provide the same level of disruption in the mid-game team fights, but still very much up Linksys' alley. This is a really niche comfort pick for him going back the years.
It has been coming out a little bit across all regions across the world, and I think this is also a tale of the series meta. As we said, we've got a number of very accomplished coaches and teams which have been no strangers to Game 5. Heretics had their finals last year. And you know what? They had Jack Spectra play 4 games of their Draven. Back then, they pick it up here.
Now this would be poetry.
Yes,
this would be poetry. Flakked on Heretics. Draven taking down a French team. And I mentioned Executioner earlier. And that is exactly what Draven would be. Lissandra just to pair alongside it because they don't necessarily want to Kui on the Ahri, and just generally they want more lockdown for some of these mobile targets.
And now I think both of these teams have realized, hang on, if Heretics get the early lead, haven't they looked pretty good? Get yourself some early pressure champions, some early snowball champions. If you make a mistake into Flakked, Draven, or into Zvero with that Lissandra, you've got resets coming in from that Lissandra, you've got the shutdowns coming in, the cash in alongside it with Flakked. I think that basically means that Camellia says, okay, they're going to be diving into us.
Yep.
That's the Renata ult in recompense.
Yeah, it's the best way to try and answer, I think. And alongside that Blitzcrank ban, don't be too surprised to see Marlon have his Thirst taken off the board. I will, however, say I feel like Rakan would really do a lot to kind of just supplement a lot of the engage that Heretics have right now. It's very, you know, you can have Vi go in, you can have Lissandra for a lot, but I think if you also just add Rakan into that mix, that's always going to be a bit of an issue. So I would maybe like go to potentially slip away from that Thirst ban, allow the Thirst to actually still go over, but try and limit the team fight and engage potential of the Heretic side here.
Another thing to note, the Kennen is still open for Ragnar, so maybe they look to ban that as their final ban here. He was super impactful in that game, number 1. He's been, you know, one of the best top laners in the whole tournament, and that Kennen has been so good for him.
Dangerous into Lissandra.
True.
It could, if you slip off a vision, win you this series. Can see you through to semi-finals. However, if you're going to be left on your own, it's a good chance that whatever Ibo locks in, tom it up with that Vi, and Zvera for the lockdown becomes incredibly hard to deal with. Okay, Geo, what they're saying is we want to play lots and lots of ability to stop you from diving into us. If you dive into the Miasma, you're going to get Cassio.
Yeah, okay, so I like the approach. The idea is really solid. It's just about how safely Toucouille can get to that point where not only is he actually holding the dives, but he's dealing out the DPS in return. And for Heretics, it's going to be go, go, go all the time. Cassio needs the time to get online. Rumble, it was banned earlier on, and you know what? This isn't actually too bad of a pick in my mind. Into Ragnar's champion pool, it should do fine in just about anything he's willing to pick up, but also, I think in terms of just being an additional layer of nuisance to the dive from range, it means that Aibo is always going to be able to provide something here. Ashe support, no way. I think, ironically, if this is still the Ashe meta, this will be a pretty good time to do it, but we'll see what Marlon wants to go towards.
I will say this is a very squishy team.
It's
the Pyke, adding to the squish, but adding to the execute.
This whole game is like pre-20 minutes. You make a mistake against Heretics comp, they explode you. If Team Geo can last with Ragnar's Ornn returning to Old Faithful, then they outscale in terms of damage, they outscale in terms of engage, they outscale just in general.
It's the SpongeBob meme, you know? Ragnar, he sees himself in the game 5. Oh, reliable. It's the Ornn that comes back out when you really need him the most. And we'll see how that topside matchup goes in the 1-to-1, but it shouldn't necessarily even be about the individual lane matchups. It's going to be about map movement for Heretics. It's going to be about actually trying to get Blue Resort and Zvero out of the mid jungle towards the bottom side and just diving Jezu on repeat, and how exactly Team Geo are going to be able to respond to that. It's about the high tempo gameplay for Heretics, and it's about actually team fighting later on, trying to get to the point where you hit the iron break points of Team Geo, and then you start to look for fights proactively.
This series has basically been a tale of Team Geo having a better read in the early game, shutting down Heretics to some lesser or greater extent. And if they fail to do that, Heretics have the creativity to engage and to snowball. But coming into Game 5, it's a change of tack, it's a change of philosophy. Team Geo say, we will win the late game if we reach that.
It's a very, very ballsy comp. I think, you know, the main thing is that squishiness, but goddamn, if this snowballs, this game is going to feel unplayable.
And I just want to echo the sentiment, the cojones to come into Game 5 and go Draven, Pyke bot with Rumble top is absurd. But it speaks to the level of confidence that the coaching staff and the players have inside themselves to execute at the highest stakes there are.
And I guarantee you, right now, Team Go are like, oh, we were not prepared for that. Like, this is not something you prep for. You go into Game 5 going, right, they're going to do this, we're going to expect to see the Jinx, the Zerries, you know, the Zyra cards, and they go, nah, Draven Pyke.
I don't think that goes to show again. No, we've switched up, led them to their summer title in EMEA Masters. Got Duke, RLs, and other leagues. They know each other to some extent. Were they expecting this, though? That's a hard question to answer. How much have they kept this under wraps? But it's Game 5. You have nothing left to put on the table.
No, you don't. Got to put them all down face first.
Well, I mean, it's only quarters.
I mean,
do
yeah,
you want to reveal your hand?
If you're about to be eliminated,
true.
then
True. I guess, yeah. You go all out.
What else is there to lose?
This might not even be their final form.
No.
You thought about that?
Look, all I'm going to say is
Shaco. There might be a Shaco support in here somewhere.
Maybe somewhere in the pipeline. I will hold my breath because you know, I was a doubter of Heretics for a majority of the tournament in summer, and they continued to prove me wrong, and eventually became the champions. And I think doing something like this, as it looks a bit awkward, but that bonus viewer will connect. Again, it just shows the confidence that is still very much there.
When you look at a bot lane 2v2 like this as well, Draven, much like someone like an Aphelios who wants to keep hitting the wave, if you have access to the minions, Draven is a very strong champion. You can keep those axes spinning for forever. It does mean that you passively push. You need to be very careful about when those waves are over-pushed and you're overextended. As you can see, Lincec's heading straight down towards that bot side. I think he was spotted on those Raptors as he was clearing them. And Marlon, with this wave push, will then get some extra degree of safety to see if he goes down towards his blue buff as well.
Yeah, what I really love from Heretics here is I think they've partially... Yeah, they have.
Wow.
Cadral's not here, mate. Not cancel it. Reset. Sorry.
That's the one.
Yeah. I think what happened there. What happened there was that Lincec had no eyes on where Blue Resort was.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So he was worried about. He's worried about both of them at the same time.
If it's just Pyke, sure, whatever. You can smite it away. I guess that was on cooldown as well. But if Blue Resort's there as well, which he now sees, gets a little bit more hairy. Level 3 to level 2 now. Lincec's course been delayed and is clear.
Just very, very worried. But I love this from Heretics just because they kind of have identified that for Lincec, if he can throw a spanner in the works for Heretics and actually find some impact, then maybe this game starts to look a little bit awkward. Jezu has the dash, so he's okay. But Heretics is trying to man-mark Lincec and ensure that he has as little impact as possible. Again, interacting him on the blue buff. But he is level 3 this time around.
I will say, this is something that Heretics need to do. They have a very early game playmaking team. Pyke is a champion which has been so often renowned as a snowball champion. Incredible plays you can make out of that. Plus the Jonghyun in LEC did some great plays in that last year. But you reach 20 minutes and you haven't done that, you do not have nearly the same impact as a Renata ult hitting a Draven, hitting a Vi, hitting anyone else, honestly. Get himself another trade here. Again, just making a nuisance of himself, at least making sure that the Xin Zhao as well on the other side doesn't get as much impact.
I mean, the big thing is that Xin Zhao, you know, did just do their clear on their blue side, and they lost blue buff. But they only got one camp left to do. A lot of time was committed there by Blue Resort onto that invade. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter all that much because they are just going to be able to head back and full clear their red side. Not particularly the greatest trade here for Los Heretics. Marlon obviously does have that passive on the Pyke where he can just sit in visibility and slowly but surely recover his health bar, as Zweiru, he's struggling in this matchup.
Yeah, this matchup is really rough to play in the early stages. You just don't have DPS to actually match the Cassiopeia, so if she ever be too.
Yeah. Now, we haven't really talked about similar happening towards the top side, though. Aibo on this Rumble has that Ignite. Of course, into the Ornn as well. Ornn is just sat there waiting also until level 6. Feels like we've got a bit of a flip between mid lane and top lane as regards to which team is waiting for what points. But Aibo picking up a champion which, of course, Destroy on the Wildcats, which also find themselves in the semi-finals. Been a big player of this. Got a lot of damage done in the group stage with it.
Yeah, I also really like, whilst we're on the topic, the adaptation to go towards the first strike, because realistically, Ornn isn't going to be able to stop you from proccing it. But not only that, you know, you're going to win the lane and get priority anyway. So the Comet doesn't really do much for you, whereas the first strike, you're going to get scaling damage into the later stages, whilst also printing a little bit of extra money inside the lane. What's it called? The Night Harvester, where you're just looking for the most immediate burst damage on the first couple of procs of the Equalizer, just to make Takui's life really miserable, to make Jezu's life as well quite hard to try and navigate.
Got a Vial into that Rumble ult as well. Oh, holy the damage which is put in place. We used to see a lot of Jarvan Rumble combos for the spicy hot pot combo. No Jarvan inside for this one, but putting a fist into the soup. Probably not great etiquette, but it definitely makes sure that Takui and Jezu don't have the easiest time.
It's another thing that we haven't really talked about is, you know, we talked about the story of how important this is for both Los Heretics as the defending champions, but also for the LFL as the former best region in the ERLs. I think something that we haven't really hit on is things have changed. There's more teams here. It'd be heartbreaking, it'd be devastating for both of these regions not to have representation while the new kids are on the block. You know, while you've got the Wildcats and stuff like that.
It's a real capstone, symbolic moment, right? Because for the first time in such a long time, first time ever, no play-ins teams make quarterfinals. That's always something that we always used to talk about. Some team would get a play-ins, but you know, NLC, you know, Ultra League, TCL come to play, and we might potentially see LFL out in the quarterfinals. Of course, there's still a story left there. They could see their old or more recent rivals to the LVP put to rest as well. It feels like an era of change. Which way is the wind blowing, though?
Well, right now, the wind is fairly calm. It's fairly relaxed. Not too much has gone down early in this game. We somewhat expect that. We don't really expect to see, you know, especially with this bot lane. We wanted to see them go aggressive, but at the same time, with these bot lanes, like they've been very passive during laning phase for both of these teams.
Yeah,
yes, they picked an aggressive one here.
For now, I think for Heretics though, they already picked up that first dragon. It's probably the earliest dragon I think in the series so far, by a country mile. And I like this stacked wave reset. Aibo could also just crash in the next wave. Blue Resort should hit 6 on his next camp if he wants it, and then they can actually look to take Herald, and everything could be in sync. They're going to send Flakked back to the bottom side, but there's still a window for Marlon to actually just rotate up here, or even maybe dive on if they really want to be honest. Either or, I think it's fine. They just don't want to necessarily expend too much whilst they do that.
Yeah, one thing that we've been seeing though from Marlon though, just a quick check-in on XP, level 4 for Marlon. See, it's so important to put it twice. And then Camilius sat on level 5. This is because of that roaming. First Renata ult of the game is going to come sooner than the first ult from Marlon, but he is getting himself in position for hooks.
They were setting up for it, but not going to happen. Rift out spawns, and immediately Aibo rotates down. Blue Resort's waiting for it, so they're going to get a big chunk out of this one. Are going to be able to pick it up. No contest really coming down, but you can see on the minimap, a whole bunch of teams are now rotating, a whole bunch of players, sorry, on the side of Team Geo are rotating down. And Marlon lands himself the hook. They're going to bring everybody in. Flakked comes in with the whirling death and secures himself first blood, cash in and all. Jezu pops the ultimate, but he gets hooked back. Flacked's damage is starting to spike pretty heavily here, and it looks like Team Geo are just going to have to back away off that one.
Yeah, they're going to have to take the L very briefly, but this is much needed gold for Heretics. if Flakked is not insanely far ahead in this game, he's going to struggle to fight into Ornn ult, struggle to fight into Miasmas, into Xin Zhao blocking up the front line or diving onto him. This gold is important. The reason I think that Geo are a bit caught out here is because that Herald is going down. I don't know whether they thought Heretics were on resets. I don't think they realized they were looking for a play on that bot side, but they'd lose their support for it.
Yeah, they do lose their support for it. It feels bad. Flakked cashing in stacks. I mean, he's very, very close to his first item, whatever that may be. It looks like he's just going to rush straight towards the shield boat. We see loads of different itemizations for Draven, but it seems that'll be the case for him now. And considering a top lane dive, half HP, right against the wall on the equalizer. They need to interrupt the art, or they can just wait it out. Either way, I think Ragnar just spawn. Bye-bye. Oh no! Oh no!
This is W! No way! I mean, I just assumed that was
a bit botched from Blue Resort, a bit botched from Ibo. They're too patient at first, and then they decide to actually make the decision to go in. They just have to wait either way. That's the biggest problem here. And the fact that the Bellows Breath cancels out the ultimate, gives Ragnar the space to flash is crucial here.
So a big thing, obviously, stood on the Rumble ult. You're getting max value out of that. No VIQ. That's cancelled out. All of your early points go into that Q. The W
but it's
comes
so
out,
frustrating because he doesn't cast his R. Ragnar just Ws and he Rs into it. He's not even timed it. So that is genuinely just Heretics not being quite patient enough. Ragnar was looking to clear the wave ahead of anything else.
There was physical pain, by the way, on Jamada's face when he watched that replay. I've never seen a man so uncomfortable in my life.
Extra gold, though. Focus side of Heretics with the assist gold coming through and a plate on top of it. Means that first item is hit for Ibo. Still 500 gold ahead of his lane opponent, despite that kill going over. And the Black Cleaver picked up the Blue Resort. That extra damage coming in from the jungle, very important. You've got a Rod of Ages, the shield bow carry on the other side. You can't
from Camilius.
I don't think they see him. I don't think they see the Lissandra on the roam.
I'm not sure if, well, they'll see him now. That's the important part. But do Heretics even care? Do they care their own vision? It seems like they do. They'll just back away. That's fine. Ibo's made this roam down to the mid lane, so they're just actually looking to contest Dragon. They know Ragnar can technically make it down here with a teleport, but he doesn't have ultimate yet for another 20 seconds. So this should just be another clean Dragon take. Herald's in the back pocket as well, and they haven't been able to, or haven't needed to use it to secure this, so they still have the ability to give that gold over to Flakked as well.
This is important, though, stacking up these dragons, because again, as we said, if Heretics don't have themselves a game-breaking advantage, it really does feel as though later into the game, Flakked is going to really struggle to fight into all of the zone control, all of the keep you at arm's length abilities from Team Geo. It's Chemtech Rift. It's probably not what they wanted to roll for. It's something. They get themselves those early dragons, but sadly, not the most valuable soul for them.
No.
It can be quite annoying. It can be a very annoying one to play into. It's one of those weird dragons where, like, you don't really notice the effects because it's not like a big flashy thing like the Hextech or the Infernal, but it does do quite a lot. So nice one on that front. They are going to look to just use the charge of the Herald and maybe even get this tower. No, it's going to get cancelled, so they don't get it.
Yeah, not too bad at the end of the day either way.
Look, there's maybe potentially a play in this mid lane now. Ibo has the ult, cast on Takui.
Yeah, Takui. He's getting a bit of chunk out to him. No, it doesn't look like they're actually going to fully commit or go for it at all.
No, but Heretics still layering in the pressure down here because they want this tower, and they've still got a couple of decent almost to use to 100-0 somebody. Nothing's going to actually unfold here, though.
You know, I actually just kind of realized what happened in that mid lane. I thought, oh, it's a play coming. No, it's actually just farming first strike onto Takui, puts that ult down, gets himself a little bit more gold, helps him ticking over on that front. Already has himself that Night Harvester, as he pointed out earlier, not going towards the anti-tank lane matchup item.
You can still do it. It's one of those things now where the game's changed, where Rumble doesn't really need Zhonya's in team fights anymore. Like, it's nice to have, but it's not necessary anymore, it feels like, because the game is just very bursty, so you just want as much upfront damage as possible.
And particularly with Morello going after Flat Pen as well. It's another Flat Pen I play for him.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry, don't worry.
Was you going to say, oh wait, does Morello give Flat Pen now?
No. I was just having a brain fart.
Oh, exactly.
It's been a long day. We've been sat here.
It's been a long old series.
Especially after that game 4. We've had some long back and forth games, and it does take a lot out of you. These players too. They're no strangers to these game 5s. Of course, Lost Heretics, last summer they found themselves in a game 5 in the very finals.
I can't remember who told me it. It was a coach once. They told me Bananas win best ofs.
Well, it's
slow release energy from them.
Yeah, that's what it is. Bananas are just broken in general.
Bananas actually are just, they need nerfing.
Yeah, honestly, you know, Earth Patch 2024, maybe look into it.
Banana nerfs coming in.
That's why we had the Soraka ban in the second round. Makes a lot of sense now.
So, Flakked actually just got tower plates, solo gold, first tower blood, all to himself. That's quite a scary Draven. He's got quite a lot of gold injected into him.
He's only casually 2.3k gold up, so I'm sure he's going to spend that gold and get a massive, massive spike. Herald's up in 20 seconds. That's why we've seen Flakked rotate up here. And I feel like Heretics are just generally very, very happy to fight on this spike right now. Everyone on first iron.
8 plates. You can see at the top of the screen, at least see HUD giving us that information. 1,223 gold, very oddly specific. But gives them a lot of gold with that. You can also see over Flakked's icon, 216 stacks. That's another shutdown waiting to happen. He has a lot of damage. Can he actually do it though? Ragnar has the ability to really zone him out of fights now.
It's been a very interesting final game because we had a very back and forth, kind of elongated fight is maybe the best way to word it. As we are actually going to see the equalizer come down onto Linkus just to chunk him out. Zwyroo does take a little bit of damage there from Tatui, but is just going to be able to walk out from this one. But equalizer down's pretty big, but Linkus is just consistently getting poked out. The word again is coming in. Zwyroo tries to jump forward, uses the ult on himself for the moment. Linkus used that ult himself, because there's going to be a big Ornhorn, but it only lands onto Flakked, and he's still quite happily untouched for the moment. They've still got the Petrifying Gaze. They've still got Jezu's ultimate up and available, and Team Geo, they seem to have had the pressure, the opportunity to step up on this as another hook lands onto Ragnar. Marlon just pulling him away, and this should just be the Rift Herald given over, secured over to the side of Heretics, but now they got to try and pick it up. Should be able to do so as Blue Resort just queues forward.
Now it looks a little bit odd after all those ultimates are thrown. Maybe you thought, hey, Geo, can they walk forward? You cannot risk those pike resets coming through. That's why random ignites were thrown out. That's why we saw Sparrow trying to really get in amongst things. You can get that pike ult, and of course you blink inside the Xin Zhao ultimate, so it means you can kill him inside that Crescent Guard. Would have been disastrous to give those resets over.
And even in saying that, on the opposite side, if you're Heretics, over-diving and, you know, running face first into Cassio, even as early on as this, is still, you know, you run the risk of really handing over a good couple of kills, gold, back to the carries of Geo, so not necessarily willing to overcommit.
Okay, so 30 seconds till the Dragon. Heretics got themselves the 2 early ones. They very much prioritize these Dragons. As we said, not the most game-winning soul for them. It's still something, particularly when you got these very low-range, brawly initiation fights.
Marlon
gave you something. Linkus doesn't have the ult right now.
Jumping onto the snake, equalizer comes out.
Oh,
lovely W coming in from him, but he's still taking a lot of damage as the rest of the team are coming in. They're forcing the teleport out as well. They've got that big old blast code just to clear away over the wall and zip away to safety.
Not sure if I'm mistaken or not, but I think the fact that the Miasma got put down meant that Blurzel couldn't actually cast R onto Kui, which is just so frustrating. Flakked should probably get the kill credit for that tower. Might lose the local gold, just depending on how long this takes to charge in, but that should be a dead tower. So Heretics, they get the tower, they'll get the Dragon as well, just because, again, the positioning, the pressure. Look at all this vision. It's so overbearing, and Geo, just give it up.
We're going to reach a point pretty soon, I feel. Like you're going to have to look at this gold lead, particularly on those 80 carries, and say, has Heretics done enough? The numbers at the top of the screen look pretty good. Numbers at the bottom look even better if you look at that Draven. But we've yet to really see the good old slam it out, back to front, 5v5. If you have a good enough disengaged play from Ragnar, Ragnar's had a hell of a series himself. Even in that Olaf game where he had to deal with that Garen, he's had himself some good moments. It is all going to be how much can Team Geo do to nullify this 2-item Draven.
Yeah, you know, actually speaking about that Draven for a second, I just want to highlight how, because Marlon has been so away from minion waves, he's still level 6. He's about to hit level 7 if he stands next to a creep when it dies. But it means that Flakked is level 11 over here, and Jezu has only barely just hit level 10. So there's a pretty big clear XP lead, and ever since, don't forget, the durability patch, levels mean more because you get more stats. So being this far ahead just makes him even harder to actually take down the kill.
Linkus, there's the ults.
They're going to throw it down onto him. He pops the ultimate himself. Marlon actually dashing away to safety. Ragnar tries to charge forward. Has got the Ornhorn up and available. Flakked quite happily just farming off in the distance. Getting as much gold injected into him as possible. As it feels like we're constantly threatening a fight, but nobody's really fully willing to commit. I feel like, and the big thing is Team Go seem to be coming out of the end of that, but that's a big equalizer chunking out Team Geo.
They don't stand on it, though. It gets the Night Harvester onto all of them, but that's about it. With that ult down, how bold does Team Geo feel?
Pretty bold.
Very apparently.
Only lands into Ivo. Ivo should be nice and safe. Gets himself somewhat slowed down, but fires back a harpoon. That's going to be it.
You know, sometime through last game, when it got to that late game, felt like neither of these teams wanted to make the mistake that lost them the game, lost them the series, and you got your heart in your mouth because, again, it is tentative, it is tense, it is on the edge. There aren't that many kills, but you can understand why. Both of these teams trying to judge the relative power of their team comps despite that gold lead and not want to throw the game away.
It's weird because it feels like, one, not much is actually happening so far.
Such a big gold lead.
It's definitely favoring Heretics.
Yep.
They might not be getting kills, but they are still getting objectives. They're getting gold. The problem is scaling.
Yeah, now that is by design of the compositions, right? For Heretics, they should be ahead like this. But for Team Geo, it's about the item spikes, it's about the breakpoints. Roa's almost stacked up. Still a little whiles away, I think, Toucouille from actually hitting that second item. Jezu on his way to a Runans. Those are the big spikes where they can really, you know, get the scrap down, but crucially, Heretics have to kind of overstep into them, right? They do get, in a way, I don't want to say outranged, but they get minced once they go into the range, right? And for Team Geo, always having to be the ones that necessarily step back before they can re-engage, that means that Heretics have to pick their fights very, very carefully, and that's probably why we're seeing all of this caution as well.
Now, the game-breaking factor coming into the map in the next 5 seconds, Baron. Now, when you're on blue side, you get an easy retreat from Baron, you force Geo to fight into you. That's not exactly what they want to be doing. If Heretics can force out a Renata ult, an Ornn ult, in an inopportune circumstance, that will buy a little bit of extra space for Flakked. Flakked has all the gold in the world right now, but not necessarily the easiest time in using it. If you can go around this Baron, force a couple of those ultimates to be used in awkward spaces, that could be the go button for Heretics.
Definitely could be. What I will say, however, is the longer that Flakked goes stacking up his passive, the Orma is just going to get to a point where it's going to execute someone for like 800 damage. I've seen it happen to saw it happen a couple of weeks ago in the LPL, right before playoffs started. There's about 1.2k execute. Just because he had about 700 stacks. Blue Blade's a real man. Like, it will eventually happen.
Yeah, it's gonna do a lot. Do we actually know how many stacks he's on?
Yeah, 480 in the hut.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go.
I know you're paying attention, Jake. I know you're trying.
Well, I mean,
we want someone else at the time.
Gotta pay attention to what's happening on the screen right now. Again, it's jostling, it's positioning. Geo, if they hold their phalanx steady, it's hard to get past those pike points.
It really is. Team Geo, though, it just feels like that clock is really ticking away at them. Yes, Chemtech is coming up in a second, 40 seconds to be precise. Baron's up as well. Do Geo look to do what Heretics did to them in, I believe, Game 2, where they just trade Baron for Dragon?
They can, but they need the Blast Cone or they need Toucouille to actually commit his flash over the wall. And I think that's the very crucial thing. You can actually, as Geo, give up this soul, I think. But maybe you're worried about the Elder spawning up so soon before you're actually ready. So Geo just have to make a decision whether or not they actually believe that this Chemtech soul is worth it or not.
Also think that Geo, we already talked about how Heretics, maybe they could bait Baron, force Geo to use their ults kind of in poor ways. I don't think you can do the same as Geo if you're on the Baron first. If an Equalizer comes in while you're in the pit, things get disgustingly high damage.
One harpoon, and I think the Glacier Path hit him at the same time. It's nuts.
Oh, that's a big Equalizer, just separating the whole fight apart for the moment. Gonna throw down 2 ultimates, the knockups, everything lands, but Flakked has been untouched. Great stand aside to keep anyone off his team. Whirling Death comes through. A lot of damage onto Link. It's not enough to find the execute yet, though, as he doesn't get the return path. Ragnar gets hooked, gets locked down, gets a 2-man knockup, as Flakked is now able to put a whole bunch of damage out there, getting a kill on the time room. There we go, the ult onto the Zeri. Jezu falls, and the Pike resets are very much alive. In jumps Los Heretics as Toucouille goes down, and Camilius, the only one left standing, being hunted down by Blue Resort, who will catch him with the Q and finish him up. Ace!
Critical mass hit for Heretics, and Team Geo just can't stand up to the wallets that are available. They're going to get the soul, albeit Chemtech. We can wax lyrical about how we hate it, but they'll get the Baron, crucially, and that should be all they need to continue to blow this game open.
And Team Geo, they can't stand their ground. They go off of their own vision. They go into the fog of war, and their ultimates don't do enough. Flakked, great positioning to stop Toucouille getting a miasma down and getting huge damage. Flakked gets to do damage. That was the question we were asking. Geo were found without an answer at this point. Caught out in no man's land. Caught out snarled up by the CC. Gets a little bit closer. Jezu very nearly taking down Blue Resort, but they didn't quite find their time in this game to take the advantage when the item points were hit, and now they have to stare down Soul and Baron against them.
Yeah, so much now against them. The Soul, you know, the damage isn't inherently that bursty, so this is one of those situations where honestly Chemtech Soul, we can slander it all we want, it's still going to make a slight difference. And
I mean, the extra tenacity is nice, the damage reduction when you get to lower health, like it's going to make things like killing a Bloodthirster Draven, because you've got to get through that shield, through his health bar, and then the extra like stats you get from the back of the Chemtech.
And actually, you know what? Bigger fact than that. I think in this game, because you've taken the Soul so early Elder will still be when Heretics are still in a point of power. They might get eclipsed by that point. They might get to the point where maybe Team Geo will have second items, everyone meaningful by that point. Maybe Geo have to flip that one again.
Alex, surely we don't see a team with Chemtech Soul not be able to close out a game and an Elder Spawn and the enemy team steals it and wins.
You saying there could be some last-minute drama between Game 5, LFL, LVP, and a revenge match potentially between the two regions?
Definitely.
I hope so.
Not. I've never seen that happen before.
Interesting thing is, Flakked actually has used all his stacks up. So he did get the cash in off the Pyke.
He's only up almost 5k, no big deal.
Yeah, oh my word, I didn't even look at that. I just saw that he had 70 stacks.
Your
I
eyes.
always used them. Does mean that execute range though is a little lower.
I mean, but he's also got an entire...
He's also 4 items.
He's also got an entire
items,
extra item on Jezu, so everything evens itself out. One more tower taken to the good in the mid lane, and they're just going to look for an engage now.
I mean, they have to look for something, but that's a big equalizer on the backline to slow their advance forward. Chunk to half HP. Whirling Death's coming in. They're going to get the knock-off of the 2, though, on top of the Miasma, but it doesn't seem to even matter to Flakked. He might just kill his AD, his mid laner. Not going to quite find that one. Lovely little chunk there from Team Geo, but they do lose their mid laner. And Flakked, he wants to step up. He's got the Blood Rush on. He's going to flash forward. Flakked finds the kill. Reset on the Blood Rush as he's picking up the axes, keeping that movement speed and attack speed up as he tries to chase forward.
Jezu
is being hunted down.
Do they have vision?
Side. They have the vision from Zweiru. The hook comes in. They get themselves the Camilius bailout, but it ain't going to be enough. X will not mark the spot as the flash comes out, but Zweiru will finish the kill up.
No amount of money is bailing you out of this situation. Team Geo, they're getting routed by Heretics here. And for a brief moment, you saw it happening, didn't you? Jezu was starting to actually turn the Jets on and he was putting out the damage, but Heretics have too much money. They're going to get the tier 2 on the back of the siege. 6k is what Flakked is up. He will go for another reset. Elder's up in 3 minutes. That's it. That's the only hope Geo have. It is that Heretics fumble that dragon and that they can maybe make a meal out of this game.
And who is standing in their way? It's another Spanish Draven. It's another Spanish Draven. What else could it be? In this game, they overreach him. They try and get that ultimate onto him, and it was always going to be a bit dangerous for Flakked trying to teamfight into all of these space-buying ultimates. But as you said, the money's there now. The gold is there, and the items that very much are. Flakked is a one-man battle machine. This is the kind of damage he's putting out. If you flub that entry to the fight yourselves, say goodbye to the semifinals.
Yep, people maybe blood rushing to his head, but he's got the rest of the team around him. Zero goes in, gets the vision, that's all they need. Hook hit, has to start rolling. I think very fortunate that even Camilius doesn't drop at the end of this, but now for the side of Heretics, they have to keep themselves composed. They have to cross the finish line confidently and comfortably and not give Team Geo a window back in.
It's just, the more I think about this game, what are you thinking here?
I just saw Marlon hanging around the middle of that lane, and by body language, I wasn't sure if they spotted Takui, but he does manage to get himself out of that bush. He pink warded it down. Heretics, they have the gold lead. Feels insurmountable. Maybe one moment of magic could be the cost of this. Blue Resort off of vision, has flash, has ults.
It's going to be Ivo's ultimate, just a chunk, just a zone away for the moment. Do get the wave cleared out though. So just a chunk of damage, I said chunk, that's a big old chunk out of that tower. Down to just 1/3 HP right now. Elder in 1 minute 20.
Yeah, 1 minute 20, and Heretics, they haven't really dealt damage to the base, and this is where I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. Not because I don't feel like they can't close this game out, but simply because I feel like Team Go, it just takes one mistake on the side of Heretics. Whilst that Elder's up, things start to look a little bit dicey. I've seen it too many times over the years. The Heretics taking their time, they finally chip away at this tower, they get it down, they'll go for the reset, the vision is still there, and they can just sit patiently and hope that Go overforce run into them, and for them, close out the game.
45 seconds until the Elder. That feels like last chance saloon in this standoff. Team Geo coming into the quarterfinals. You wouldn't have been amiss to call them potentially tournament favorites. They looked exceptional in group stage, but the Heretics, they started off this way in their last tournament, won the whole thing. 4-2 coming out of group stage with 2 close losses to the Wildcats, looking to take what has been actually a close series over Team Geo. One last fight would see them with another historic result.
Not gonna overextend here, although they do have a lovely little pincer coming in. But
Blackhead
is just gonna go a little bit wide. They throw down everything. Blue Resort stopwatches the ultimate. Blackhead does get caught, and he almost kills his support! Oh no, that's gone so wrong! But now he's turning the attention onto Ragnar.
Oh, no.
That's one. Now Jesse gets the bailout. It's not gonna be enough, because 2 kills coming in, and X marks the spot! The dunking has happened! And that is another ace over to Los Heretics!
Buried underneath the X, and the Spanish may have just found their way to the semi-finals. The executioners of the French, it seems, have everything, considering the France history. And they've got that cannon minion with them to drag themselves across the finish line, and they will take down Team Geo 3-2.
And it is a quick game as well, just under the 30-minute mark. Heretics in a best-of-5 series take it all the way, and they beat out Team Geo.
last summer. The French Orthodoxy downed by the Spanish Heretics, and yet again, Los Heretics will continue on their campaign. Defending champions, reigning champions. Yes, they came out as second seeds from their groups, but they have continued to grow and grow again. It took a whole series of growth. Game 1, Sucker Punch, but as they went through the series, they took a win on Red side, and in Game 5, they pulled out all the stops, showed us something new, and showed us why the LVP should not be taken lightly.
Yeah, I feel like that Red side win was really the series breaker. I think as soon as you win on Red side, all of a sudden the pressure is just on Team Geo to like really pull something out of the hat, because at that point, things just start to feel really rough. And I think being able to just go, you know what, Game 5, screw it. Draven, Pyke, Rumble, who cares? Like, let's just flip it on our comfort champions. It says a lot about where they were still at mentally, and to see them come out with such a huge performance under that pressure, under the circumstances, still, even on comfort champions, massive for them, and they get the Superliga into the semi-finals.
And they will have themselves a date with the Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. So it's them versus Prime League, one of these other ERLs, which has been so often kind of caught beneath the shadow of the LFL, which for the first time since 2019 summer, only the second time ever in the history of this tournament, will not progress past the quarterfinals.
Honestly, we just got an absolute banger. Last 2 days, actually, of games have been super, super good. This side of the bracket has been exciting as hell, but it is now all donezo, so we're going to pass it over to the layout analyst desk to break that game down.
Los Heretics, they've done it. They found the answer in that final game to close it out. And once again, they're the ones to kick LFL whilst they're down. No more LFL. One of the most dominant regions in EMEA Masters is no longer with us. They're out. They're not even going to the semis. But Los Heretics, they're chilling.
I mean, it's a huge blow
Absolutely.
over the most dominated region for the past 3 years over at EMEA Masters. Namera said it as well, only in 2019 they didn't manage to make it past quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think you didn't expect this from the reigning champions of summer 2022.
You know what? Let's speak to Bluzar himself to see what they expected from coming into this game and going up against Team Geo. So, hello, Bluzar, how's it going?
Hello, hello.
Hi.
It's going pretty nice.
Yeah,
it
you
was
happy?
a hard series. Yeah, of course I'm happy. It was a hard series, but in the end we took it home. So I'm really happy, yeah.
So you've once again shattered the hopes and dreams of LFL. Last time it was in the finals, now it's in the quarterfinals. How does that feel?
Actually, it feels really good because like a few days ago, I remember telling my coach I had a dream that even before the playoff got like relieved. I mean, I don't know how to say it, sorry. Like, so basically, I told my coach we are gonna play against Geo on like either 19th or the 20th.
You weren't the chosen jungler. Then you played for Heretics, you won EMEA Masters, Heretics get an LEC spot, you weren't the chosen jungler. Now, I'm assuming you just want your second title back to back. Is that to prove to people, to give you a shot at the big league?
I would say yes or no. I would like to prove myself, of course, in the best league, but I didn't get my chance this year, so I'm just doing my best to get there one day. So yeah, I'm just like proving to myself and everyone that I deserve my shot, and I will keep going until I get there.
Okay, well, you had the dream that you would win, and you won, so we'll see how that plays out. But looking at the mental, the morale of the team, of this series specifically, because it was down to that one final game, what was it that made you guys go for, we're going to pick the Draven, we're going to pick the Pyke, we're going to go Rumble top with Ignite, and we're just going to go for it?
So, so basically, like the games we lost, they should be stomping us really hard, and they were doing so many mistakes that we could come back to the game. And even after the fourth game, the game was super lost in the early game, I think, and then we still come back. So we had a kind of a feeling they are playing a bit scared or not playing on their level. So we were like, just play our not best champions, but play full aggro and just run them down.
Yeah, and that seems to have worked over in the LVP as well, as is very aggressive in the early game league overall. Now, of course, I saw something on the screen. Flakked came and kissed you on the forehead. How has it been playing with Flakked?
Flakked is always kissing everyone, so it's really nice. He's my little baby, always kissing me. So yeah, it feels good.
Just a little question. You just said just then that you didn't think Geo was actually playing to their level. Did you actually expect going into the series that it might be more difficult? Do you think they underperformed, overperformed? What do you think?
I think they played pretty well in the early game, some games, I think. Like, for example, in the first game, they were stomping us. But the mistakes they made, like in the mid and late game, that they let us come back to the game, which is huge for us. And I think if you, like, for example, this game, it felt like it was such a smooth game. We play our system, we play how we need to play the league, and they were doing so many mistakes. So yeah, but I think they were playing good overall, of course.
Okay, I have a little surprise for you. Are you ready?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah? Okay, so you get side selection in your game against Unicorns of Love. Now, you won red side, so do you have a preference? Is it going to be blue?
I don't know. We will see.
Well, thank you for the spoilers. We do appreciate it. Thanks. But that's another point. You're up against Unicorns of Love. They had a great showing yesterday as well. So how are you feeling going into those semifinals?
I think Unicorns of Love has been always playing really good. Even the last split, when we played against them, they were playing super well. And even now, I think they are performing really well. So I would say it will be a close series, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time with us to have this interview. It was lovely having a chat. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
And next week, indeed, is something to be looking forward to, because that is the semi-finals. We have 2 semi-finals and a final as well. Having a look at the bracket, or, you know, if you've missed it, we're going to give you a little recap. The first semi-finals that we're going to be looking at is Wildcats up against SK Prime, and the second one, Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition up against Los Heretics.
Okay. No shade to the first semifinal, because I think it's going to be a banger. There's like ex-LEC names over in SK Prime, Wildcats coming from the DCL, you know, MSI Worlds experience and whatnot. But Heretics playing against Unicorns of Love, dispatched of Movistar Riders. Now they have the chance to completely take the Superliga out of the competition. And honestly, Unicorns have showed back-to-back really great rosters, a lot of promise, haven't managed to make it to the finals yet, so that would be their big shot.
And I think for the first bracket, at the very least, it'd be really interesting to see just how far Istanbul Wildcats go. They've been a bit of a wild card to me. Sometimes I'm a really big fan of the Turkish league, and then sometimes they get kicked out of play-ins. So I really want to see how far they go. Maybe they take it all the way.
I think Wildcats will go all the way. I believe. But also, I think looking at this, Prime League has that chance.
You bet the shoey on it?
Oh, hell no. I ain't doing that. Miss me with that shoey. But looking at the Prime League specifically, they have like a 50% chance, right? To be in those finals, to have a chance to crown and make their region proud. So what's the likelihood of missing that, right?
I just have to say that for SK in general, it's been a few rough years over in the LEC and in the Prime League. But this year they've had a pretty good winter split over in the LEC, followed by a not as great as the winter split, but their spring was pretty good as well. They managed to get into the groups. And of course, the team over the academy team has been doing so well. They got second, almost won the Premier League. Now they have made it on to the semifinals. So big props to them.
Big props to them indeed, and big props to both of you as well for being here for the last 3 days, because you cast it as well. A woman of many talents, okay? Aragon, before we close this out, this was your first time here.
Yeah, it's been absolutely phenomenal, right? I've really, really enjoyed it. Shout out to my cats, emotional support. I get pictures of them daily. But no, absolutely phenomenal. I hope to be back soon.
What's your cat's name?
Luna and Finn.
Okay, that's very cute.
Finn?
Yeah, it's a boy.
Nice.
Trouble? Any lovely words you want to close out this week?
Yes, it's been absolutely a pleasure to work with both of you guys. It was the first time I worked with you, Jeannie. You've been doing fantastically.
Thank you.
We hope to have you back. And Aragon, congratulations. That was the smoothest first Telestrator I've ever seen in my life.
Someone give this man an award. Okay, this needs to become like a medal that you get, and analysts that come in need to start competing for it. You're the holder, right? And you got like, it's like the WWE belt, you know, for wrestling that You pass down when you
just
lose.
Invisible.
So. Yeah, just invisible.
Yeah.
You can put it in your Twitter bio.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I really
it can be your claim
appreciate
to fame.
it. I really appreciate it. My heart was going, you know, so.
We couldn't tell. You did great. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for this week. It's been banger after banger, and that's something that we promised. So if this week was any way to benchmark the action that's up to come, you know next week is going to be pretty spicy. Make sure you guys stay hydrated, take a shower, and we'll see you next week.
Tuve una caída en mi carrera, pero he vuelto más fuerte que nunca.
Pero ojo con Supa, va a reventar a Marlon. Se atreve ahora con el 1 contra 1 contra Flaque. No debería de ganar el Tetón.
J'ai progressé une étape à la fois jusqu'à arriver au sommet.
Maintenant qui est dans la mêlée. Et la côte de Roguette, elle est magnifique du côté de la TSC.
Ich weiß, ich kann der Beste sein, jetzt muss ich es nur allen zeigen.
선택할 수 있는 길이 많았습니다. 저는 지금 걷고 있는 길이 옳다고 확신합니다.
No a wszyscy tutaj na gotowe. Nie odbierajmy. Pentakill jak najbardziej zasłużony.
Orada sıfır bir değişim. Ayakta kalan son isim Erdemir.
Uzun zamandır bekliyordum. Şimdi benim zamanım.